Hi again. Today we're going to be talking about Genesis 10. This is one of those chapters that has a lot of genealogy to it, but there is so much we can find out. So don't let yourself be bored by genealogies. Look and see what there is God has in there. So this chapter, remember how much God stressed that they were to be fruitful and multiply. This chapter shows they did a pretty good job of it. This chapter is called the Table of Nations. This is the only time in the Old Testament that all of the nations of the world will be addressed. After this, we're going to focus just on those nations that affect the nation of Israel. So what are the names of the sons of Noah? Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Have you ever heard it in a different order? In actuality, if we went from the oldest to the youngest, it would be Japheth, Ham, and Shem. So biblically, the Old Testament is going to focus on the ancestors of Ham and Japheth. Ham and Shem. The descendants of Japheth, they live the farthest away from Jerusalem, and they're the least involved, so we don't hear much about their descendants after this chapter. In all probability, it was Shem that kept this record. This genealogy is going to narrow it down to where it focuses on the messianic line. Now, scholars and archaeologists have studied this list of names, and they said it is incredibly accurate. Almost all the names in the chapter have been found in archaeological discoveries within the last century and a half. This list illustrates the advancement of the human race. This family grows into a nation, into a world. There seem to be about 70 groups mentioned, 14 from Japheth, 30 from Ham, and 26 from Shem. Later, the rabbinical Midrash, it says there are 70 languages of the known world. They had a much more limited knowledge of what the known world was. It was a world known to them. Of course, we know there are so many more languages than 70. So in these names, some of the names listed are personal, some of them seem to be places, and some of them seem to be the names of tribes. According to Jim Baumkamp, people say that these three sons of Noah ended up producing what people refer to as the three main races of people, with the Hamites representing black-skinned people, the Japhethites, the white-skinned people, and the Shemites, the Oriental. However, you do not find race addressed in the Bible. Henry Morris says there are dusky and black people found among all groups of nations. The Bible never uses the word race. Verse 1 says, "These are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Sons were born to them after the flood." Sons were born to them is going to be repeated 3 more times after each of the sons of Noah's line is listed. So we're going to start with Japheth. And the reason we're starting with Japheth is because he has the least impact. The way biblical writers worked is they would take care of the information that was just information and then move on to the important things. So, verse 2 says, "The sons of Japheth, Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, Tubal, Meshech, and Tiras." So, they've gone through and assigned people groups to these names as an indication of what they believe who descended from each one of these names. So Japheth is the father of the Indo-European people from India to Western Europe. They're actually linked by linguistic similarities, which, may be hard for us to see, but to linguists it's obvious. Then we get Gomer, not Gomer Pyle, Gomer. Came from the Germanic peoples and most of Western Europe, including the original French, the Spanish, even the Celts. Magog, the rest of the names, they became the Russian people eventually. We're going to see them actually in Ezekiel 8 attacking Israel in the end times. We're going to see Magog. But first, at first they were closer to the promised land, but they are going to be moving away. Then we have Madai, the ancient Medes, who originally settled Iran and Iraq and the peoples of India. Then we have Javan, he fathered the Greeks, the Phoenicians, the Philistines. Then we have Tubal, possibly Central Asia Minor, and both Tubal and Meshach we're going to see in Ezekiel 38 and 39 in Asia Minor. Then Meshach is the area of Moscow, Muscovites. Tiras, we never see that name again. We don't know anything about it. One commentator said that they settled Thrace, but that's all we know. Verse 3, the sons of Gomer, Ashkenaz, Rephath, and Togarmah. These are the grandsons of Japheth. So Ashkenaz fathered the Scythians in Germany. It was a tribal group in Germany. In fact, the Jews still call Germany Ashkenaz. Rephath, probably a tribe in Asia Minor. Togarmah, the Armenians in modern Turkey. Verse 4 and 5 say the sons of Javan, Elishai, Tarshish, Kittim, and Dodan. And from these the coastland people spread in their lands, each with his own language, by their clans in their nation. Elisha is the native population of Cyprus, Tarshish, southern Spain, Kittim, the east coast of Cyprus. Dodanim, notice M at the end, I am. That means plural. So this time that may be talking about a family or a tribe. This may be talking about a family that lived on the island of Rhodes, but others say northern Greece, and others say southern Italy. The phrase coastland peoples spread is usually used to talk about people moving far away. But here it seems to talk about people that lived along the Mediterranean and Black Seas. So this division in mankind developed into geography, language, ethnicity, political differences. Notice, no race. It was God's plan that man divide and disperse over all the earth. Now we get the sons of Ham. Verse 6, the sons of Ham, Cush, Egypt, Put, and Canaan. They all become great nations. They had arts and accomplishments that outshone everyone around in that day. They were merchants and builders. They formed and established empires with huge pieces of architecture. We see the names Egypt and Canaan. Here are their people's names. After this chapter, anytime we see Egypt and Canaan, they're talking about countries. So Ham, they figure Ham and his descendants settled Africa and the Far East. Cush, apparently his family divides into two branches pretty early, and some founded Babylon and others founded Ethiopia, which is called the land of Cush. We got Mizraim, founded Egypt. Put was Libya and Canaan, Israel and the surrounding regions. All those ites. We got Jebusites, Amorites, Girgashites, Hivites, Archites, Sinites, Arvadites, Zemarites, and Hamathites. Lots of ites. Now, Cush had a lot of children. So verses 7 through 11 says the sons of Cush, Seba, Havilah, Sabta, Ramah, and Sabteka. The sons of Ramah, Sheba and Dedan. Cush fathered Nimrod. He was the first on earth to be a mighty man. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Therefore it is said, like Nimrod, a mighty hunter before the Lord. The beginning of his kingdom was Babel, Erech, Akkad, and Calneh in the land of Shinar. From that land he went into Assyria and built Nineveh, Rehoboth, Calah, and Rezin between Nineveh and Calah, that is the great city. Seba is probably the upper Nile area. Havilah means sandland, so probably somewhere in Egypt with a lot of sand. Sabta, probably modern Ethiopia, East Africa, or a city in Arabia. Ramah was southwest Arabia. Sabteka was Ethiopia. Sheba was southwest of Arabia, think Queen of Sheba. Dedan, somewhere in Arabia. From the sons of Cush, the only one we know anything about that it tells us about is Nimrod. He was a mighty one on the earth, but it wasn't meant as a compliment. He ruled over Babel. He led the first organized rebellion of humans against God. In fact, his name means let us rebel. Historians figure that Sargon of Akkad was the first ruler of Nimrod. It could be the same person. So again, the mighty hunter before the Lord, not a compliment. It's meant to be offensive to the face of God. And it's not talking about Nimrod's ability to hunt wild game. It's not about animals at all. He was a hunter of men. He was a warrior and a ruthless one. It's not like Jesus, who made us fishers of men. He goes after men to kill them. That's probably why he was able to consolidate the lands around into a kingdom. He was like a tyrant and oppressive. He made himself to be a god, and his mother, Semiramis, people worshipped her too because she was the mother of a god. He didn't trust Jehovah God, and he felt he could do anything he wanted without God, and he led others to do the same. All the cities listed were major cities in the southern Tigris and Euphrates River Valley in what is modern Iran. We get the first mention of Babel, which will become Babylon. And we'll see Babylon over and over and over throughout the Bible, and always in a really bad way. The Babylonians said the city name means the gate of the gods. But Genesis 11 says it means he confused. The city of Shinar becomes Sumer, and the Sumerians in what is now southern Iran and Kuwait became the first civilization to develop writing. Nineveh, the city that Jonah's going to be sent to. Rehoboth means wide street city. Calah was a major Assyrian city. It became the city of Nimrod. Okay, verse 13, more names. Egypt fathered Ludim, Anamim, Lehabim, Naphtuhim, Pathrusim, Casluhim, from whom the Philistines came, and Caphtorim. Notice all the M's. That means these were probably tribes. Ludim becomes the Lydians of Asia Minor, up there in the Turkey area. Anamim, probably west of Egypt. Lehabim, desert tribes of the African coast. Naphtuhim, it seems to be a tribal group from Memphis, Egypt. Pathrusim, probably Upper Egypt. Casluhim, the Philistines. It tells it's the Philistines. And then Caphtorim is another area of Crete. There is a part of Crete today that is known as Caphtor. Okay, 15 through 19, more names. Canaan fathered Sidon, his firstborn, and Heth, and the Jebusites, the Amorites, and the Girgasites, the Hivites, the Arkites, the Sinites, the Arvadites, the Zemarites, and the Hamathites. Afterwards, the clans of the Canaanites dispersed, and the territory of the Canaanites extended from Sidon in the direction of Gerar as far as Gaza, and in the direction of Sodom, Gomorrah, Admon, and Zeboaim as far as Lasha. Some names that are familiar. We get more information about Canaan because the Israelites are going to have to deal with them over and over and over and over again. Sidon. They went north and became the Hittites and the Lebanese. The city of Sidon is a famous Phoenician seaport north of Palestine. Heth. That's an interesting name because it is not a Jewish name. It's probably the start of the Hittites, northern Palestine, maybe the Hivites too. Then we have the Jebusites. They occupied the city of Salem or Jebus, later known as Jerusalem. We got the Amorites, Girgashites, Hivites. We're going to see all these tribes again. They're in the Palestine area. The Sinites. They think the Oriental people descended from the Sinites. We got the Arvadites who lived off the coast north of Palestine on an island. And then the Zemarites. They're another Canaanite tribe on the Mediterranean coast. Hamathites, they occupied what is modern Lebanon. Then Sodom and Gomorrah and Admah and Zeboaim. Some familiar names there. Doesn't it make sense that these cities known for their sin come from Canaan? These are cities in the plains in Palestine at the southern end of the Dead Sea. And we're going to see them again. Then we have Lasha, probably west of the Dead Sea. Verse 20 says, these are the sons of Ham, by their clans, their languages, their lands, and their nations. Now to Shem. Verse 21 and 22 say, to Shem also, the father of all the children of Eber, the elder brother of Japheth, children were born. The sons of Shem, Elam, Asher, Arphaxad, Lud, and Aram. Notice that Shem is called the father of the children of Eber. He's their grandpa. And so why? It's probably because Abraham and his seed come from Eber. And they were called Hebrews. Coming from Eber. The term Semite comes from Shem. We've heard the term anti-Semite, anti-Shem. Shem is the ancestor of the Jewish people. Eber. In Hebrew, it's very close to the term Hebrew, which is actually a much wider group than just the Jews. It actually means to pass over and through, which infers it's a nomadic group. Have no idea why it talks about Japheth. Then we have Elam. He's the ancestor of the Persians, Asher, the Assyrians, Lud, the Lydians who lived in Asia Minor, Aram, the Arameans, also known as Assyrians, Arphaxad, northern Nineveh. Some say that Abraham came from this tribe. Then we have verse 23 that says, the sons of Aram, Uz, Hul, Gether, and Mash. Later, a region is named after the son of Aram. Job came from the land of Uz. These are the Arabian tribes. Then verses 24 through 30. Arphaxad fathered Shelah, and Shelah fathered Eber. To Eber were born 2 sons. The name of one was Peleg, for his days on the earth for in his days the earth was divided. And his brother's name was Joktan. Joktan fathered Almodad, Sheleph, Hazarmaveth, Jerah, Hadoram, Uzal, Diklah, Obal, Abimael, Sheba, Ophir, Havilah, and Jobab. All these were the sons of Joktan. The territory in which they live extended from Mesha in the direction of Shephar to the hill country of the east. Peleg is the line from which Abraham would come. The name comes from the verb divided. All the names after Joktan are associated with various Arabic peoples. The name Jobab, some people think that is actually Job. Verse 31 and 32. These are the sons of Shem by their clans, their languages, and their nations. These are the clans of the sons of Noah according to their genealogies in their nations, and from these the nations spread abroad on the earth after the flood. So this is a summary. But you saw in this chapter just how far the sons of Noah spread and how quickly their descendants filled the earth. Tomorrow we'll pick up in chapter 11.